In the month of February, I was south, in California, where the groundhog could not possibly have seen his shadow. Winter was well in the past. Everything was blooming, and the citrus trees were loaded with fruit. Where was I exactly? Not in Disney World. I was in the town of Davis, California, home to the University of California, Davis. Davis has an Amtrak station. 2 long-distance routes stop here every day, as well as a daily commuter that runs between Sacramento and the Bay Area. I came down on the overnight train from Oregon. The town has an identity around riding bikes, and it's also known for its sunny weather, although there was dense fog when I arrived. Davis has a well-established bike network that makes it easier to get around than most other places. In addition to separated paths like these, there are also many miles of paths through parks that connect into neighborhoods. A car-free network like this feels so much more relaxed and safer than riding on the street. The public schools in Davis all seem to be on the edges of parks, so many kids are able to ride from home through parks to get to school. Outside of the parks, the on-street facilities are quite good too. Most of the painted bike lanes are quite a bit wider than what I'm used to. And many are also buffered for more separation. No matter how good the bike-specific infrastructure is, the places where bikes and cars meet is always a reminder that you are a guest in the space of cars, even when that space is the bike lane. I quickly got used to biking around Davis. With its faults, the infrastructure here is still so much better than what I'm used to, even coming from a similar-sized town that also promotes itself as being bike-friendly. This Dutch-style protected intersection is designed to improve walking and biking safety. It also makes it easier to bike around using the crosswalks, instead of needing to go out into the middle of the road to make a left turn. This was actually the first Dutch-style intersection built in the US, now over a decade ago. Being me, I had to ride here just to check it out. It definitely makes for a safer way to make a left turn on this busy road. It just takes a bit of extra waiting. Another interesting intersection is this pedestrian scramble on the edge of the university campus. It's basically a free-for-all in the crosswalks, with a diagonal one in the mix too, and red lights for the cars. It sounds like it should be chaotic, and it kind of is when it's busier than this, but there's a type of negotiation and movement between cyclists and pedestrians that's really just not possible when cars are involved. So it actually works surprisingly well. Around the university is really where you'll find the best active transit infrastructure. It's mainly where I found the curb-separated bike paths like these. Apartment complexes near campus also build onto the network with their own paths connecting into what the city has built. It really makes it easier to be car-free, even for students living off campus. It's hard to convey just how much biking is integrated into the culture of the university. The footage here only shows a small portion of the bikes locked up around campus. It's estimated that over 30,000 bikes are on campus on a given day. Biking is also the main way both students and staff commute, with 37% of trips to campus being by bike. With so many bikes, there's need for bike infrastructure on campus too. My favorite is the bike roundabout, which controls traffic at intersections among all the bikes and the small number of university cars. So enjoy this montage of me riding around bike roundabouts, which I might have enjoyed doing just a bit too much. You might notice there aren't too many other people around when I recorded. That's for a few reasons. For one, I felt strange riding around and obviously recording video of college students, being that I'm somewhat older than college age myself now. The other reason was purely safety. When the amount of bike traffic is really noticeable, like the rush between classes, I really couldn't safely ride around one-handed while filming. I may go back with a discreet chest mount camera at some point to record what it's like to experience. Another great piece of infrastructure is this pedestrian overpass above the freeway. It's a much more convenient crossing than the one to the north that's shared with cars. The university also has pedestrian underpasses below the busy streets on the edge of campus. These are a much nicer way to cross a busy street. It wasn't all sunshine and bike rides at the beginning of my visit, only after the rain cleared up, and some wheel maintenance. I wasn't too sure if I was going to get the big hop out of this rim, but detensioning all the spokes and then retensioning them turned the hop into a slight dip instead, so I called that a success. With some dry weather and rounder wheels, we got out on rides. This was our ride on Valentine's Day. We took the long way downtown to get some sushi. UC Davis has a number of agricultural programs and research facilities spread out from the campus, like this bee haven for research into bees. As well as vineyards. The university has one of the top winemaking programs in the country. My father happens to be an alumni. Coming here is somewhat of a homecoming, since this was my first home. My dad went to grad school here, and my mom worked at the university. The university has an airport, so small planes flying over the neighborhoods is a pretty common sight. With the large animal veterinary program, there's also a few places to meet animals like this guy, if they want to be met. Now we're riding onto campus and into the arboretum that spans the width of campus on the south side. It's a lovely place to spend time, walking or riding the paths. There are collections of trees and plants here from around the world, as well as California natives. But today we're just passing through and headed south to another destination, to visit the Raptor Center. The center rehabilitates injured birds to release back into the wild, but if they can no longer fly, then they wouldn't survive and will remain here, like this bald eagle, who now serves as an ambassador for education outreach at the center, and this golden eagle. He was more shy, though, and only came toward the front when people weren't around. There are quite a few other birds of prey here, but I only captured video of the eagles. Riding back after our meal downtown, we noticed these beautiful acacia trees in the arboretum. All different species and looking slightly different, but all blossoming yellow at the same time. Left to myself during the week, I did some riding around town on my girlfriend's early 90s Specialized LA. This is an excellent steel road bike from the time just before the bike industry shifted toward aluminum and carbon frames. It is at least 2 sizes too small for me though. But grinching aside, with the tall stem, it works out to be pretty comfortable for me, since it's quite aggressive with a longer top tube than seat tube. I just have to be careful taking sharp turns not to kench my toes on the front wheel. These 90s 105 components are superb as well. My brother's road bike has the same group, and working on these wheels is the smoothest hubs I've ever worked on. This ride is a pretty good example of how the town's biking network combines quiet residential streets, paths through parks, and bike lanes to have a route that's away from the streets more heavy with car traffic. This pedestrian overpass leads into another park that has a school as well. This is an interesting bit of infrastructure. It leads from the park into a short, separated on-street bikeway. I'm taking it down to a rather historic street for biking. This street has the country's first on-street painted bike lane. I would much rather see something like curb-separated lanes that are more common in Europe. But this historic bike lane was the start of Davis leading the way in the US on bike infrastructure. More cities around the country and the world are building bike networks and making their streets more walkable. Hopefully that shifts to be the norm instead of just painting lanes that started here 60 years ago. Anyway, it's still a pretty low traffic route to get me across town for some coffee. First, some coffee for later from the local grocery co-op. The street ahead is actually pedestrianized and car-free. I'm headed to the cafe on the right-hand corner. Temple Coffee is one of my favorites in town. They usually have a single origin option for espresso, in addition to their espresso blend. I got an Americano and a blackberry jam donut. As I was drinking my coffee, I looked outside and noticed that person has a tail. I think I saw him later at the farmer's market. Time to get back on the bike. I really like this style of bike rack that's common here. The design makes it easy to lock your frame and the front wheel together. I didn't record much video around downtown. It's essentially a grid with stop signs every block, and requires most of your attention when riding. Near campus, bikes and feet are the main mode of transport. It's another day, and in true probably riding style, another chance to ride for some coffee. The path I'm on connects a large residential part of town with the university campus, some shopping areas, and eventually to the downtown. We usually rode through the center of campus to get downtown, but I wanted to go this way and see where it took me. Eventually it connected up with the usual route anyway. I'm used to planning ahead more when going somewhere on a bike, choosing low traffic roads and avoiding sketchy turns to make. It's more familiar to driving a car to just be able to go in a direction and not think as much about the network that gets me where I'm going. The downtown is pretty laid back, with independent bookstores and lots of places to eat. It's popular for both college students and permanent residents. extra points for having an independent movie theater too. There's not much in the way of specific bike infrastructure in the downtown core, but some parking areas have been converted into additional bike parking, and there are wide sidewalks and areas for people to gather. This time I stopped at the Village Bakery for another Americano. When I go out for a coffee, Americanos tend to be my go-to. Flat whites just aren't that common in small-town coffee shops. Americanos also get you the most sips for your dollar of any espresso drink. My seat inside had a nice view of the bike, but I moved outside to enjoy the sun and to people watch. I'd packed a lunch, so I took off from the coffee shop to find somewhere to sit and eat. The paths from campus stretch all the way to the edge of downtown, and from here I can ride into the Arboretum. It was a nice day and a lot of people were out, but I managed to find a spot for myself. From here I could hear the ducks and geese down in the creek, as well as guided tours that passed by, introducing future students to the university campus. I do agree. Nature is a marvel. Humans have done so much to shape the world to our own needs. It's wonderful to be in a space like this, where people have made an effort to recreate nature, and to see that nature has come back and is thriving in it. I do hope these guys stayed safe on the path, though. The university campus is such a lovely place to spend time. There are so many green spaces and varieties of plants, and tree-shaded lanes. Miles of meandering paths that invite you to keep riding around and seeing what there is to see. To slow down and get a different perspective. On the last weekend of my visit, we went for a ride out of town. There's a pretty strong road biking culture in Davis. This path is part of a popular route to the nearby town of Winters. Out here, it's mostly quiet farm roads through the orchards. Further west, you'll get into the foothills and some elevation gain, but here it's pretty flat. I do like the challenge of a good hill now and then, but a ride with someone special is the best kind of ride. That's all for this time, Davis. I do recommend a visit if you'd like to experience a well-established bike network. I didn't even get into all the tasty food or the local farmers market in this video. Another time. Until then.